Immigration has divided America for generations. Some believe strict immigration enforcement is simply about protecting borders, national security, and the rule of law. Others argue that race, ethnicity, and fear of outsiders has consistently shaped who America welcomes and who it rejects. And we see the evidence. Is today's immigration debate really about illegal immigration, or is it about who America believes belong here? Get ready for part 2 of Is U.S. immigration policy about security or racism and xenophobia?
Are you ready for some controversy? Yeah. Are you ready for some fun? Yeah. Yeah. Are you ready for some laughs? Yeah. Let's get unfiltered with Cycle 4081.
Welcome back to part 2 of this episode on immigration. And just to recap, we talked in part 1 about immigration policy being separated from race. We talked about the difference between nationalism and patriotism. We talked about immigration, is it automatically evidence of xenophobia? And we talked about the historical context of immigration in the U.S. So today we're going to jump off with some little different things, mainly more technical things, legal things. So how you guys doing this evening?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Thank you for coming back for part 2. So I'm gonna kick this question off about, and this is the legal part, and this is an opinion only answer. Should asylum seekers be treated differently than economic migrants? Now, if you don't know what the difference is, let me know, and I'll go into that real quick. Everybody know what the difference is? All right, just to give you a hint for the listeners out there, the asylum seekers are people who come to the U.S., whether they come here legally and seek asylum, meaning they're trying to prevent persecution or bad conditions in their former country and they can't go back, versus those economic migrants that come across to get jobs. And a lot of times they get jobs and they send the money back home. And sometimes they return home. They come back and forth. Those are economic migrants. And we've had economic migrants in this country since the beginning, starting with the settlers who came over here as economic migrants and religious migrants, I guess. So what is your opinion? Should the asylum seekers be treated differently than economic migrants? Paul, we're going with you first. You on that side.
I think they should all be treated the same.
All be treated the same?
Each cause, they all have their own specific cause, but
okay.
Each cause is important to them.
Anybody disagree with that? Okay. So I'm going to disagree. And I'm going to tell you why. When we talk about the economic migrants, is a simple solution to that. They want to come here. They want to make money. These are the people that they tried to ship back before when they canceled their what do they call them? The work visas, right? You remember when they canceled all of them work visas, and guess what happened? The seafood industry collapsed. The farming industry collapsed, right? So sending those people back is detrimental to the health and welfare of this country. And guess who is experiencing that right now? South Africa, Johannesburg, right?
Yes.
They wanted to kick all the immigrants out, and guess what happened? They didn't have jobs. They couldn't run the factories. The taxis couldn't pay their bills. So they should be treated differently. Now, when I say differently, give them the opportunity to have a work visa so they can come over here and take some of those jobs and, whatever. It's beneficial to everybody. Now, a lot of people come here and they seek asylum, obviously, because they have bad situations. We could talk about the El Salvadorians when they had that war. And ironically enough, a lot of them seek asylum, or they try to seek asylum from issues that we, the U.S. government, had a hand in causing, right? And then we don't want to bring them in because, whatever. But nobody wants to talk about that. But I think asylum seekers is a little different because you're going to get a lot of people who abuse those laws and say, well, I'm going to seek asylum, is different. So they got to scrutinize them more, because they're there. The whole intention is not to return ever, So I think you do have to treat them differently from the refugees, obviously. And now the difference between refugees and asylum seekers are refugees are basically people that come here and they're accepted. They are accepted into this country because it's been recognized that they have a disastrous situation in their other country. Now the asylum seekers, you got to basically, that's an individual thing, but they come in droves to the border, say, I want to seek asylum. I'm getting, persecuted in my country for whatever reason, for political reasons, right? That's an individual thing. So that's the difference. And for those who didn't know the difference between refugees are treated better because they get the more benefits than asylum seekers, which there's no guarantee for
Some
asylum
refugees.
seekers. Huh?
Just a side note.
Some refugees, yeah, some refugees.
Just a side note on that.
Well, see,
I remember Hurricane Katrina. Now, I was in New Orleans when this happened. And when Hurricane Katrina happened, I was going stationed to Texas. Man, do you know I was classified a refugee?
All right.
I was
How did that happen?
Well, technically,
No.
technically you fit the criteria outside of being, from another country. So I think
Right.
certain benefits will kick in because you're a refugee, and then
I got all the perks and benefits.
now here's another thing too that people don't realize too. When people say, "Oh, we should close the border, we should do this, do that," there's international law that says you have to be treated in a certain way. We signed on to it like everybody else. Same thing that applies to asylum seekers in the U.S. If they want to go to China and all these other different places to avoid persecution that they feel that's unjust from our country, we signed on to that. So we have an obligation to honor that. And goes back to what we said in part one. We expect people to follow those rules, but we don't do it ourselves. That's what we do.
Right.
So, yeah, somebody wanted to add on to that. Somebody mentioned on it. Was it Wayne Markey about the asylum seekers? Okay.
No, I said something about the refugees. I
Oh,
was
the
saying
refugees,
how
okay.
not all of them are treated, the same.
Right. Well,
Or treated well.
especially now because
Yeah.
they're coming in and then they're putting them in holding facilities, detention facilities that are basically jails, prisons.
Because they get funding for that, so
My-
they're treated.
My only issue is they both come over with, wanting something basically from the country, to benefit from something that our country has to offer.
Yes, absolutely.
The thing is, people often say, well, if certain, like the economic, immigrants come over, if we send them back, the country will collapse or whatever. Listen, people in this country don't want to pick up trash on the side of the highway. But when you go on probation and things of that nature, you have to do so. So I feel like when it comes down to like the fields and working in the agriculture fields and stuff like that, immigrants, they come over, they take advantage of the opportunities that we have in this country, which kind of like takes away from your usual citizens. And I think we have a class of people out there that is there for that. They should be accommodated first. That's my only problem with immigrants.
We're going to talk about that because that's one of the opposing opinions on that. But when you look at statistically, and not just statistically, historically, what has happened when they did that, the people here in this country have not taken those jobs. There was one picture, and this would hit home. It must have been about
That's
40,
that's why I said probation.
So it was about 40
If you're on probation.
acres. Oh, I'm sorry. You said if you're on probation, what?
Just like people don't want to dig ditches and people don't want to pick up trash on the side of the highway, I'm saying the agriculture field is wide open
Oh, okay.
for those who violate the law.
Okay, you're talking
to
about
be
like
put to
criminal
work in the
probation.
fields.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So even then, they don't have the manpower required or the skill. And here's another example. It must have been 40 acres or more, 100 acres of nothing but tomatoes. And when they started doing those raids to farms, remind you, they said they were going after the gang members, the rapists, the murderers first. But yet they were going off to these farms and people started leaving. And it was a whole bunch. Can you imagine 140, 50 acres of rotting tomatoes? And what does that do? It drives the cost up for everybody, not just in California or Denver or whatever, Colorado. So yeah, that is an interesting talking point.
Now my issue with that is this: you can go after the immigrants all you want to; they'll find more immigrants. That right there, to work an immigrant is illegal, and the amount of immigrants it takes to work a farm that should certify as a RICO. Instead of going after the immigrants, why don't they go after the farmers? That's my problem.
Well, they do in some aspects, but they know it. All right, if they did that, if they did that, they went after the farm owners and they went after the actual immigrants that's working on these farms, whether they're legal or illegal. It is detrimental to the country. That's been proven. It's not even just the statistics. Yeah. It's been proven. Matter of fact, there was a debate back in 1979 when they were the Republican primary debate was George H.W. Bush and Ronald Reagan. And that came up. And surprisingly, both of those candidates said, listen, we cannot go in here and remove all the immigrants, legal, illegal, because it doesn't make sense and it doesn't benefit the country because of all those reasons. When they did the same thing again in Maryland suffered because they didn't have enough workers to go out there and shuck oysters and crabs and stuff like that. So what happens? That $9, $10 thing of crab meat that I used to get went to freaking $25 and went up to $35 later on for different reasons. But those are the things that happen. But let me ask you something. Because we're speaking about labor now. Does America's labor market depend on undocumented workers while publicly condemning them?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
150%.
150%. I don't think anybody could debate
I'll
that.
I'll even go further. They depend on it in and outside of America.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And to that effect, they condemned the work environment or the pay that's going on in Thailand and China and Mexico because they want them to have the same standards that we have here, but yet they don't want to pay the cost. Nobody wants to buy an iPhone for $6,000. Nobody's going to pay, buy a pair of khaki pants for $250. So back when I was in PAL, one of the kids, I was telling the kids, this is when I was looking into importing stuff, right? Because I was doing my little side business. And I told them at this time, Sean John clothes was popping, right? And the kids always tell me about what they like, this and that, whatever. I said, well, hey, did you know that these khaki pants you can get from, I think it was either not Thailand, what's the other one? Singapore, somewhere in that little area. That you guys are paying Taiwan that they were paying $60, $70 for. Guess how much they actually buy it for? Guess how much it comes out of the factory? It's like it's $1.40. So $1.40. So we can complain about
for the logo.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So we could complain about the low wages and stuff like that, and whether they're getting it here or there. But we're not willing to go over there and do the job. Right? Nobody's going to pay $20 an hour to go there to work in a factory when they could get somebody who's getting it for 10 cents an hour or 10 cents a day, whatever. That's a different argument. But yeah, we do dramatically condemn people for using undocumented workers, but yet those same people that were saying, "Oh, get rid of the legal aliens," was owning those restaurants where everybody in the back was Latino.
And and the politicians that was it talk about um, enforced immigration policies, they was getting caught having undocumented
Yes.
housekeepers,
Trump
using
and
undocumented contractors for their homes and stuff like that. That's why I said this country is hypocritical. And to your point, we rely solely on the labor and the resources, the human resources of these so-called illegal illegal immigrants.
So let me ask you guys something, right? If I can pay you $3 an hour, or let's say I'm gonna pay you 30 cents a bucket, a basket, to go out there in the heat and pick cotton. Let's pick corn, to pick blueberries. And you talk about these are little things, blueberries, to pick tomatoes, to pick. Yeah. Are you going to do it?
That'll be a step backwards.
Matter of fact, let me throw this in there. Are you going to come from Florida all the way to Texas or California to do it?
No.
Absolutely.
No. Our people have done it enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the difference is they're getting paid for it. You know, we was forced to do it with no money. So,
exactly.
But that's the mindset that I think the lenders say that our people have done it enough, right? That's the mindset. Like when you said that, and you said that there was so many jobs, but we don't take those jobs because we have that mindset that, man, we've done that shit for enough, and we've done it for free.
Right.
So when them jobs, they say them jobs are available, they give it to them. Give it to them.
Well, here's another important thing too. Again, even if we took those jobs, right, and we got the money that the minimum wage that you would expect for a, let's say a living wage. Let's say you did get a living wage. One, there's not enough labor out there to do it. That's one. Two, if everybody that did it here, outside of prison workers, literally we'd be paying like $10 for a tomato. We'd be paying, you know, let's go to the salad bar or who has a good salad. Let's say Wendy's. You know, that salad from Wendy's is costing $30. We don't want that. So, you know, we can get mad at them for whatever. Now, here's another thing. They can take that money because they know how to live together and do and for a common goal, you know.
That's another can of worms that they're opening up.
Absolutely. Okay. But they also know that they can send that same little bit of money back to Mexico or El Salvador or wherever they're going to send it to, and it's worth a lot more there than it is here.
That's the next transition.
Bingo.
That's the next transition.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. So what they're doing is they have all these illegal or legal immigrants in these detention camps, right? So that's the transition here. So what they're going to do is this. You know what? We're going to deport you, or if you want to stay, you're going to be on the forced labor plan. That's what they're going to do. They're going to, just like you said, oh yeah, we're going to pay you. They're not going to get paid the regular minimum wage. They give like, we're going to give you $3 to $4 an hour, and you can take a fraction of that and you can send it back to your family or what have you. But this is what they're going to. They're getting us primed, or they're getting mainstream America primed because to start transitioning the illegal aliens, because what they're doing, the narrative is that everybody in a detention camp is a criminal, right? That's what they
say.
Pushing.
That's the excuse they use.
Right.
Yes.
That's their excuse. So you say this enough. If you say this enough, now they're coming up with a justification of why they can put these criminals in forced labor, because they'll say, hey, but they're criminals anyway. Then 2, hey, this is a form of rehabilitation. And 3, oh, this will go ahead, this is a benefit for our country. That type of ideology and mindset only appeals, that appeals directly to the American nationalists. She said,
yeah.
loyalty of a country,
because
above all.
America still runs off of chattel slavery.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
that's why you have industrial prison systems, by the way. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna say this. The reason why that has not happened already, that's the key already. One is private business, so they can't do it that way.
Yep.
And if they did it the other way, where the government was responsible, not only they have to, provide or send them out for those jobs, but now they got to provide support. They got to provide health care. They got to provide all these different things.
That's why they haven't did it, because they're working through the process channels. They're already trying to eliminate health care.
Exactly.
What they're trying to do. They're trying to break down them barriers. They're trying to eliminate them barriers so it can be a free full transition. If we eliminate healthcare as a benefit totally, if we eliminate insurance as a benefit totally, hey, we got the full go. Hey, put the free labor plan in motion.
Yeah.
Because if they eliminate healthcare, think about this. If they eliminate healthcare for regular people, they damn sure regular people ain't gonna be like, well, why they getting it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this is America, man. This is what they do. This is the bullshit that they do. But what they do is just they appeal to the nationalism that national, and I gotta say it. I said white nationalism. They appeal to fear, and they apply to ignorance. This is what they apply. That's what they cater to. So when
and most importantly,
and economic poverty.
There you go. And most importantly, they play the long game.
Yeah, when the 4 factors are in play, they can almost push anything through.
So let me ask you guys something. I'm gonna start with Dimitri. This is an easy thing, I think, to everybody. Have you heard of America First? That phrase, America First.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody should have heard that.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
what does that mean to you when people say America First? And then I'm gonna ask the question about it.
When I say America First, is like they put America first. Like we're. I look at it like, they're trying to say, basically they take care of U.S. citizens before they go outside of that.
Okay, so when you hear that, it's just a common thing. Oh, let's take our own first. Okay,
that's how I look at it when I hear America First. They say put America first.
Okay, so to you guys, is the phrase America First actually an expression of sovereignty or exclusion?
Exclusion.
To me, it sounds like a dog whistle, because they said put
Absolutely.
America first, but you already know who they're trying to put first.
White American, because there's no.
There you go.
Caucasian American. They're considered American.
So I'm gonna have to agree with you on that, because it's never really about expression of sovereignty. We have always had our sovereignty, but when you talk about America First, it's basically you're excluding people. America First, you're excluding immigrants from taking certain benefits. You're excluding the manufacturers overseas that's giving us these pants for $1.20 versus a American company that's giving it to us for $6 or $7. So it is more, in my opinion, of a dog whistle, because it not saying it that way, but it's a dog whistle because that's how it's applied here. And guess who else in history had that phrase? That phrase of, I won't say America first, but let's say Germany first. Guess who used that phrase? Germany
Hitler.
First. Absolutely. Hitler. Absolutely. And to me, it seems like this particular administration is basically taking not just one page, they're taking some pages out of that
Wait, who
Nazi
used that first? Who uses Germany?
Hitler.
Germany first?
Hitler, the
Hitler.
Nazis,
Hitler?
Nazi Germany. So they're basically here. They're taking these pages out of the Nazi Germany playbook. So yeah, I do say it's more exclusion, but they're not ready for the unintended consequences that come along with
Yes.
that, right?
Listen, let me say something. Let me speak to that. But that's what white corporate America has done for centuries now. They paint themselves in a corner, and they can't live self-sufficient in that corner. So then they have to piggyback off of other cultures and other races to survive the place that they painted themselves in the corner to. They did it when they came to America. They had to go to get slaves. They had to go get Chinamen. They're now doing it when it comes down to reproduction because their numbers are falling off. But they painted themselves in the corner. They say if you got one drop of any other blood, you're not white. Now look at the white race. The white race is about to go extinct.
And then what happens when they do go out there and exploit other people, or like the Africans or the Chinese or the Cubans, the Haitians or whatever? What happens after they use them? They say
they discard them.
You're not welcome here. Exactly.
Right.
And to Leonard's point, like you said, they're doing that in corporate America. I see the same thing. They make the biggest mistake with the military. The military. See what they're doing is this. They're coming up with every rule and regulation to eliminate Black Americans from the military. Oh, shaving.
Exactly.
Different things like that. So because
your hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because ultimately what they want to do is this. So they banking on merging Israel's military and America's military to make it a all-white situation.
Yeah.
Did you hear? I got one better than that. Did you hear on the news yesterday and today with this? What they want to test for? They're trying to put this in the law. They want to test for
testosterone.
You know what I'm talking about? Yep, testosterone.
Yeah.
That's
wow.
crazy.
Yeah, that is actually
who has a higher range normally, genetically. Who is predisposed to have a higher range of testosterone?
Black men.
So
it's all set.
So what they're trying to do is not so much to eliminate Black men. When you have that's Pete Hegseth's thing. It's not law, but it's his directive, and they're going to test it. If you're over the age of 30, you get tested. But if you're under the age of 30, you can volunteer to get it. So his thing is this: he doesn't want women in the military.
Right. None.
So anybody who goes in and they test and they say their testosterone is low, they're gonna argue that, oh, you can't do the job, or skirt around the law about trans members and stuff like that.
Scientist.
Yeah. So, that guy right there has probably been the most outright,
yes,
bigot, white supremacist, white Christian nationalist. He doesn't hide anything. He wants
Stephen
to
Miller.
erase, and Stephen Miller, those two, they want to erase every trace of a minority or anybody who's not a Christian white male. And it's not even really debatable. If you're debating it, it means you're ignorant, because it's like it's so obvious, But yeah, that right there is a playbook again of Nazi Germany. You're not Aryan enough, right? So, speaking of culture, how much should culture influence immigration policy? And I'm gonna give you that as a wide question, meaning how much culture, meaning here or there, should influence immigration policy. I'm gonna give that one to who's on Dimitri.
How much should culture influence immigration policy here or there?
Yes.
I will say 75% at least.
75%. To the like, all right, when you say
like you saying culture, like so 75% our culture to the immigration policy.
so, give me an
I
example.
was
Give me an example.
What's your culture? What do you say your culture? You said our culture. Which culture are you
That's what I'm
referring to?
asking. Like, can I say blacks or
You can
like
when I said the question is wide, culture is culture. So how much of culture should
culture
influence
is
it?
culture? But I'm trying to get a good idea
So
of
let me give you an example. Let me give you an
like
example.
which part of
Let me
culture
give you an
like
example.
which
Hey
part?
Brian,
Let me give you an example.
Hey Brian, can I give it one by
Yeah, go ahead.
answer at the same time? All right, for me, I would say no more than 50%. And when you ask that question, the first culture came to mind is the Asian culture. Now they're deep and stifled in their past, their history, which is our history, and the way they do things. Um, so to take that away to influence for my culture to be more influential to them, either way, either going to their country or coming over here, I think that's wrong. That's sort of what's going on with us, whitewashing.
Yep.
Yes.
So I would think that 50% or less. I think that's fair. A little bit
Okay.
less is fair. I wouldn't put it no less than 40. I hate to say give that number 40, but I would say under 50%.
Okay. So when we talk about culture influence, so let's say me as a policymaker for the U.S. and I said, you know what, culture should influence immigration policy, right? Because if I decide to say, well, we're gonna just forget the numbers. We're gonna say we're gonna forget the individual numbers. We're gonna let in 100,000 people this year from other countries, right? So if culture doesn't influence that, me as a policymaker, me as a white nationalist, me as a white Christian nationalist, me as a white supremacist, me as a whatever it is, or even a black nationalist, and I set a policy, say, you know what, let's go set up this. We have 100,000 people, but we're going to set up these offices, and we're going to encourage and support people coming from Norway. And I mentioned Norway because it came out of the orange clown's lips. You know, he gets honest sometimes, and he say, well, you know what?
He said they were good people. He said they
Yes,
were good
he said they
people.
were good people, and we need more Norwegians, as he said, in this country,
Complexion.
right?
Complexion.
At the same time, saying people from the brown countries were murderers, rapists,
Yes.
or they're from shithole countries, right?
Countries.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if culture doesn't play a part or influence the immigration policy, you have people like that and everybody that he puts in offices that determine our policy, that gives them the freedom, not that they're not doing it now, but it gives them the unadulterated freedom to go in there and say, you know what, we're only going to let 100,000 people in, but guess what, we're going to let 80,000 of them come from Europe, and then another 10,000 come from India because we need them engineers. Then we're going to need another 10,000 from Asia because we want the tech people, you know, whatever. So I think that culture should influence immigration policy, not 50%. It should influence it. I'm going to say 90%. And within, I'm gonna take that back. Let me walk that back. I'm going to say 100%, because in that scope of, you know, when you're selecting by culture, you can still pick the people from a certain culture that have those skills, the engineers, the carpenters, the doctors, the scientists, the basketball players, because, you know, we'll let them basketball players come in from these countries because we want them to stack our teams, right?
But on the flip side of that, Brian, the flip side of that 100%, you can go to India, you can go to China, you can go to. It don't even have to be a brown country or continent. And you can still have a Muslim culture.
Well,
now, do you think they will let 100% of Muslims, that culture, come in?
Absolutely not.
Even though they're the doctors, and that's why I said 50%.
Absolutely.
Even though you have the doctors and the scientists.
So when I say 100%, when I say 100%, I mean it should influence that. You can still get those doctors from any of those places, but it should be the influence should be cultural because you want to make sure that there's more diversity, and that means don't pick 90% from India, don't pick 90% from China, don't pick 90% from.
The other way.
That's what I'm saying. How culture should influence policy. Now you can have a culture influence policy with the wrong person, right? Somebody gets in there like, that's uncontrolled. Say, well, you know what? My name is what's that idiot's name up in New York? The ex-prosecutor, Rudy Giuliani. He gets in there. He gets in a position, right? He says, well, you know what? I think we need more Italians in this place. So we're gonna open it up to all Italians. Whoever comes in, who qualifies, we're gonna give them first pick, right? And then load up and say, well, we're gonna do it in order. We're gonna let 1 through 10 from these different places, but we're gonna put the Italians in first, and not have any limits on how many Italians could come through. Now you got 80,000 Italians. Then you go from the Italians, you go to the Greeks, and you got 5,000 Greeks. Then you go from the Greeks to the Danish people, or matter of fact, you go to the South African Boers for the rest, right? So in that case, culture should influence it in a way that promotes diversity. 100%. 100%. So that's what I meant by that. And we're seeing a little backlash on that now, because obviously this guy who's in charge basically saying, in the matter of clear words,
by way of deduction.
Exactly. Now what's going on today? We see the videos and the pictures. Oh, let me throw in a word of the day right now. Give me a word of the day. Anybody? Leonard, give me a word of the day.
Incoherent.
Incoherent. So today's word of the day is incoherent. And obviously, as we said before,
it's incoherent.
If you get all the words of the day for each episode from for the month, you have the opportunity to win a prize. And till date, we've been doing this. We're going on 3 years. You know how many winners we've had? 3.
How many?
3. No,
Jeez.
we've had 3 different winners. Put it that way. We've had winners.
Okay.
The same.
I got
people,
my 2 prizes already.
So the same people was getting the prizes. So I had to limit it, and I was like, well, damn. I mean, if I limit it now, we're not getting any people that's doing it. So get those words in a day in, and come get your prize. And if you live in another country, I'm going to say it's probably going to be a 99.9% chance that it's going to be a cash prize, because I'm not sending anything in the mail to Africa or Europe or whatever, because it costs too much. So get those in.
Oh, it's a cash prize. Okay, that's cool. Send me my money, bro.
Okay. Don't discriminate. Bring that cash back to America, my brother.
So let me tell you. So you guys are on this podcast. I'm using my immigration. I'm influencing with culture. So, but you guys are not eligible for those who are here on the podcast. So yeah.
Give us our stimulus. Give us our reparation stimulus. Come on, man.
So let me tell you, since we're talking about it. So when I say cash prize, it goes back to how we said about the economic migrants. They'll come over here and they can work for whatever and send that money back, because the money goes a lot further, right? So the reason why I said cash prize, when we opened it up to people in Africa, Asia, I had a lot of people from India on the access the website that were not bots, by the way. So I checked that out too. You can look at the analytics.
A lot of people from where?
India.
Yo, listen, a side topic though. Yes. When I do my analytics.
You too?
When I do my analytics. Oh my goodness! I'll be like, yo, who checked me from India and Bangladesh? Like, I'm with you.
I had at one point when I looked at the analytics, I think it was like 100%, and they had the different cities or whatever. So I'm like, do I need to bring some Indian people here? I'll do it. I'll do it.
That's why I start making. Yeah. That's why I start making songs.
Blow them ratings through the roof.
That's why I start making.
You gotta cater to the. you got to cater to the culture.
Exactly.
And Leonard,
Exactly.
I saw my Aunt Leonard
I
twice.
know.
I said, God damn that. I said, I'm making a song for y'all.
Okay.
Hey, you know,
He gonna put Gandhi on the wall in the background.
hey, it makes sense. Hey, look. So, but let's say if I had a cash prize, let's say a prize of comedy show tickets, because we gave those away before too, and obviously I can go look and have contacts for comedy shows in, let's say, Africa. I'm giving you real life situations. So I look up a comedy store in Sierra Leone, right? So I say, okay, well, you guys I'm gonna pay for 2 people to go to this comedy show at this, in this case, this hotel, and it's only gonna cost me like $11. But guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna throw in dinner for 2. Now we're at $20, $25 or whatever, right? Versus somebody in the U.S. What you getting for $20?
That part. A bag of chips nowadays.
Exactly.
And that's gonna come with more than half of it air.
So yeah, it's all about context. I'm giving you all the context now. If you're a winner from the U.S., you're not getting no cash. I'm telling you that. All right.
Hey, bro. Hey, Leonard. Hey, Leonard. That $20.
We're in America, so we could just come over and borrow your car anytime. We good.
Hey, listen. You said $20 here. That's going long.
you gonna use more money trying to send the $20 than the $20 gonna be worth.
Exactly.
Hey, Leonard, what you can do?
Yeah.
That $20 will get you from one gas station to the next gas station. Just
There
enough.
you go.
I was about to say that
We're gonna
too.
put $20 in your gas tank when we drive your car.
Exactly.
It's all about perspective. So, right.
Okay.
All right, so let me ask you guys something. All right. And this is something. This is a question is based on what we see the current policy of the U.S. immigration, how they go capture, and I'm gonna use the word capture, and send these people to these detention camps, right? So should family unification or reunification, should family reunification remain a cornerstone of immigration law? Now, you could take that in a couple ways. You could take it in as in, if somebody is an immigrant and they get detained for whatever, and they have family in the U.S. that can support them, right? Should that, be a cornerstone? Hey, you're illegal. We're gonna put you with your family. Let's get you out of this detention center where, one, we got to pay for your health care, your food, your housing, and the whole nine. And also, when it comes to children, what about children of people who get deported? You can't keep putting children in cages, right? So should that automatically say, well, okay, we have a family here that can take these kids if it's okay with you? Or how would you formulate that situation? How would you work those scenarios? I'm gonna go with Paul on this one straight.
All right, first, let me say this. They're going to continue putting these kids in cages because the stuff they're doing to these kids is insane. So, but if you do family reunification, if you do have family in the United States, I think that should be the cornerstone. And then number 2, I just don't believe that no kid out illegal or whatever should be detained and put in these detention centers, because you see what's happening. These kids are being put in these detention centers. They're being raped. We talk about this country talking about they're detaining the rapists. But hell, detain you because you're going in there, you raping these kids.
Exactly. Exactly.
These kids coming out pregnant. Well, they not coming out, but they in the detention centers and they pregnant.
Right.
Who doing that?
Right. Let me tell you real quick. So in Baltimore County, they had some. I don't know if they were refugees or asylum seekers, whatever, but they were kids that got obviously taken because either their parents got deported or a lot of times they'll send the kids unaccompanied to the border. Now, what are you going to do with kids if they're not? There's nobody there legally responsible for them, right? So they put the kids in this facility for I don't want to say orphanage because it's not an orphanage, but let's say the Board of Child Care, and they house these kids and whatever. But me as a community guy, so we wanted to make a partnership with them, to basically alleviate the fear, because obviously these kids are living in fear. They don't have any family here. They just putting in homes or cages, whatever. So one of the things I did when I went over there as a police officer, obviously they probably had heightened fear because I was a police officer. And you know what I did to bridge that gap? Something as simple as this. I went and bought them some KFC.
Lord.
You try to kill them.
I bought them some KFC and they loved it. They loved me. I don't say they loved me, but they had a higher appreciation for it. But the reunification thing, yeah, I think if all possible, and I'm not saying that they don't do this, but obviously they do. They still have an issue with kids in cages that don't have responsible adults. And even if mom and dad gets deported or gets detained and they have a kid, and they put the kid in there with them. So in that case, if you do, this will be my policy. If you have kids and they come to the border unaccompanied, because that's the scheme that they do, and I'm gonna call it a scheme because it is a scheme, right? Yeah. Go ahead and add them. Send them to family members, right? You want to keep families together. Right. Secondly, right. I think the biggest thing was to be documented. That was the biggest draw, was them being undocumented. So once they come through there, they go through the system, they get documented. Then you can send them to the family members. But a lot of times, obviously, they're gonna get away, and be out there in the public. But again, the policy doesn't have to be so draconian where you just go in there. I'm gonna go into the restaurant and chase everybody out. I'm gonna go into the farms and chase everybody out. I'm gonna put all the kids in the cages. Come on, that's uncivilized. So
once again, that's against Geneva Convention. That's against United Nations.
And this administration don't care about no Geneva Convention, obviously.
Right. Because imagine if Americans were being locked up in cages and their kids being locked up in cages in other countries.
They'd have a.
They would they would lose it.
Send the military to go in there.
The first time they see a white family locked in a cage with their child, America's going over full force.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you know how I know? You know how I know this ain't about legality? Because what you said. If it was about legality, see, documented people, they pay taxes.
Exactly.
Right.
They pay documented aliens or what immigrants, they pay taxes. So it's not like they're not contributing to the financial growth of this country, because they are.
They also get a lot of immigrants get cash advance. They get supplements and everything else from the government. That's a huge problem.
They do, but just like the white women and the white men get cash supplements and kick-ass for the government. As a matter of fact, they're the biggest users of it.
But bro, they're from here though. The difference is I'm not trying to take the side of the white folks or that like that, but they're from here, man. They're not immigrants. We keep it in the country.
I'm gonna keep it 100.
So let me.
I'm gonna keep it 100%.
Hold on. When you
Them
white
motherfuckers are immigrants to me, because they I'm gonna keep it a buck, and it's unfiltered. Them white motherfuckers is immigrants because guess what? The indigenous people was here. I'm gonna just call it a buck. The indigenous people was here. Black people was here in this U.S. of A. It just was
before them.
The transatlantic slave trade was just the biggest event of moving slaves over. You have black people here, so these white Europeans came over here on this bullshit. Now they want to turn around because they hear now it's our country, or you get out, you ain't supposed to be here. What? Well, goddamn it, what if the Indians had did that shit to y'all?
Right. Well, they tried.
Right.
So,
Yeah, they
Yeah, they
tried.
but let me
tried.
throw some stats because somebody mentioned the contributions. So let me go with in 2022. This is the last stat I have. There was 10.9 million undocumented immigrants that paid $96.7 billion in taxes. So that included 19.5 billion in federal income tax, because you can still pay taxes and be undocumented, and 32.3 billion in federal payroll taxes, because you can still do that. Now, going back to the percentages, when you want to compare, it was undocumented immigrants paid an effective federal income tax of 5.27% in 2022, which was higher than some of the wealthiest Americans and mega corporations, obviously, because there's some mega corporations that pay zero, right? So, and this came from ProPublica's
But
data, right? From the 400 highest income individuals, undocumented immigrants paid a higher effective tax rates than five out of those richest Americans. And you're talking about billionaires.
but psych, along with those stats, I'd also like to know how much money did they get from the government to be over here?
So there's categories, right? Asylum seekers, refugees by law get assistance. Basically, they get a little bit of welfare. It's not a lot, but they get the welfare. They have to be put up whatever by law, international law, that the U.S.
Right.
signed on to, because the same thing applies to our citizens. Now, asylum seekers is different. Asylum seekers don't get nothing except when it comes from, there's private organizations that actually pay for those things, right? Obviously, because if I was a black person, which I am, and I went to, let's say, Nigeria, and an American company, nonprofit, says, well, you know what? Well, when Americans come over here, we need to take care of them. So blah blah blah, and we do all these fundraising and stuff like that, and we take care of them. So that happens, but so that's legal. That's their obligation. They have to do it. It says those people do it to us.
The reason why I said that is because in North Carolina, I see the large population of South Americans and Mexican people come over, and a lot of them had the nice size SUVs. A lot of them were opening up Mexican restaurants. I go down to Florida, the people from the Ukraine, they opening pizza shops and Mediterranean
Yep.
food shops left and right. So what I'm saying is they yeah, they should be paying a little bit more taxes because they got a head start. They got to jump above us. Neither one of us in this room, on this chat, can sit here and say, "Hey, man, we got X amount of dollars from the government and we own a company because of that."
Well, just to
Brian, isn't
hold
it
on.
the
Let me add on this
Brian?
real quick. Just to be fair, that a lot of those immigrants don't get government assistance. They have private corporations that actually do it, and people, organizations from those other countries. But let me just throw this last stat out. When we talk
Okay.
about deporting the millions of undocumented workers, and how it would not be a good thing, even from back in the late '70s, early '80s, they estimated that if you deported millions of undocumented workers, it would shrink the economy by 1.7 to 1.1 to 1.7 trillion dollars, and that would be a devastating contraction from what they had from the 2008 financial crisis. And then it goes into, like, what jobs, how they rank in the workforce in certain jobs. Construction workers, like we talked about earlier, and I think it was part one. Agriculture workers and hospital workers. So, that whole idea of sending them back just is not going to work. Don't cut your nose off to spite your face. But go ahead, Marky.
I would say, which community? It's the Asian community, or is it, I don't know if it's all Asians or the Koreans. One of them, get what is it, 5 years of not paying taxes when they come over here and the government supplement to come over here and start a business.
That I think that was the Chinese.
Okay, the Chinese.
Is it
Yeah,
either the
so
Chinese or the
this
Koreans?
is
Might have been
yeah,
Koreans.
and this is to Leonard's point. So yeah, they should. I believe they should pay a higher,
Right.
pay more, pay a higher cost.
Hey, listen, I'm
Because
not.
you're already starting
I'm
off. They
I'm
starting off in the middle of the race,
I'm not
and they ain't
opposed to that.
even shot the gun off of us.
I'm
I'm
not.
all for that. I'm all for them paying taxes, higher taxes based on the fact that most of them
Yeah.
get subsidized
Yeah.
where, like you said, they get interest-free loans and they have to pay it back for 5 years.
So I mean,
And
there's a scam on that too. I don't want to call it a scam, but basically everybody uses loopholes. So
Call
I'm
it
not
what it is.
you know. So the thing with that, the whole tax thing is how they do, and you know, if we can't do it, that's on us. But if you go and you have a family of five, 10, whatever, and you have
yeah,
let's say,
I know what you're talking about.
you know, a liquor store,
Yeah.
and you just keep changing the name over to the next family member, and next thing you know,
Yep.
you don't pay those taxes, whatever. But guess what you do pay? You pay that sales tax when you go into them stores, and they don't have to
Yeah.
pay it.
Yeah.
So where's that money going?
Right in their pockets.
All right, so let me
Yep.
move around because I know we reaching the hour. Quick question for you guys: are sanctuary cities protecting communities, or are they undermining federal law? Everybody knows what a sanctuary. And for those who are listeners who don't know what a sanctuary city is, those are the cities where the government, the local government decided that they're not going to deport illegal immigrants. One, because it's not really their responsibility, and two, they want to make sure all citizens feel safe, and they just don't cooperate with the federal government. But go ahead, Paul.
I'm all for sanctuary cities.
Okay.
I'm all
Okay.
the federal government. They're the biggest crooks ever.
Okay.
And
So
I stay there with my chest stuck out as a patriot.
all right, Dimitri, you you think sanctuary cities are protecting communities, or are they just undermining federal law?
I think they're underlining federal law.
Undermining federal law? Okay. Well,
Explain.
that's a simple explanation.
Can I ask a question real quick before we go?
Yeah.
So are we protecting undocumented citizens? Correct?
Yeah. But when you
Okay. So how are we making citizens feel safe when we're protecting undocumented citizens? That's
we're
my
not.
only...
We're all right. Let me restate that. Okay, when we say we're protecting communities, so a community is a group of anybody who resides in your particular, jurisdiction. That's a community, right? Whether it be a certain neighborhood or whatever. So that includes people who are here legally, illegally, all demographics. So if you have, when they have a sanctuary city, and they say, well, we're not going to ask you for your ID when we do ask your citizen status when we do a traffic stop, or we're not going to just arbitrarily just pick people off the street and say, hey, do you belong here? Or go into schools and terrorize kids, right? They're already scared of the police.
Right.
Just imagine that extra energy. So you don't want to have a community that overall feels safe, not just the immigrants, because some of the people who are legally here get wrapped up in that
Yes.
too, right? And they're literally they're our friends, family, and all other type stuff too, right? So, but what Dimitri is saying, Dimitri is saying,
I got a question.
Go ahead. Man.
So are you saying when they get pulled over, you can't ask for the ID, which will lead to the understanding of what their status is as a citizen?
not that you can ask for ID, obviously, because they're driving, but you can't ask them for their citizenship status.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't that information pop up?
No.
I don't know. I mean, I've never been. Okay.
No.
All right.
No, only thing that pops up if you get somebody's driver's. So what happens is let's say you pull over a car and it got like 6 individuals in there, right? You can ask the driver for their driver's license, obviously, and then their citizen status does not show up on the license. So if you ask them for their citizen status, which has nothing to do with the traffic stop, because you got their license, obviously that's their ID.
Right.
So that's going extra. But what a lot of officers were doing, and they're not going to do it to Europeans, obviously. Deep in their head, they
No.
think Europeans belong here.
Right.
So they'll do it to the Latinos and say, as everybody in the car, who has an ID, and are you do you belong here?
A legal citizen.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's problematic in itself.
I would love to look at the data and the statistics that looks at the economic growth of these sanctuary cities, because the reason why I say is because the reason why they are sanctuary cities and these sanctuary cities are not pressing an issue on immigration is because, number one, these immigrants are not bothering nobody. They are adding.
I don't know about that. No, absolutely not.
Because I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. For Dimitri to say they're thwarting federal authority. Do you see what the federal authorities, these people do? They don't just, let's sugarcoat it. They don't just go and say, hey, let me see your ID. Does anybody have an ID? No, that's not sugarcoat. That they don't do. They run down on these folks. They ain't bother nobody. They go in these business and establishments. These businesses and establishments, all they doing is running business. They run into these schools.
Kids coming from school. Yes.
Can't even go to a school. A kid can't even go to school without being ran down on in a school. They running down in places of worship. So what I'm saying is that, yeah, they may be undocumented, they may be documented. It doesn't matter, because they're doing the same thing to the documented person. They're doing the same thing to the undocumented person.
And that's the problem.
And that's the problem.
But hold on. One thing, I think you put a Band-Aid by using economics and wanting to know the economics. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't really speak into crime because I live in a gated community. But I know for a fact when the buses start to show up, no, it's not flex. I'm being honest. When the buses start to show up with the immigrants on the buses, I'm saying a lot of the stores got run through. There was a lot of theft, bro. I'm gonna tell you hands down. In Ross, they had to check. They had to put the little tabs, the alarms on the underwear and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
In Walmart, your t-shirts and your underwear and everything, deodorant, all that goes into a locked up case now.
So statistically,
prior to,
man, I'm gonna stop you on there.
Hold on.
No, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not telling you something that I heard. I'm telling you what I saw.
Myself in Texas. I've seen them. Black people was going through Walmart stealing every goddamn thing.
We citizens. We citizens. We talk about undocumented.
So let me hold on. Let me cut you guys off here. Because I don't want to get into it back and forth. Statistically, illegal immigrants and legal immigrants commit far less crime than citizens. Okay, that's one.
Yes.
Point number two is the reason why that even makes sense is because even though you might be in a sanctuary city, whatever, but if you commit a crime, once you get locked up, all that stuff comes out, and guess what happens? You go into detention for the most part, and then you get deported because you committed a certain crime. Now, usually it's a felony. They're not going to do it for misdemeanor stuff like petty theft and stuff like that. But that's what the federal government wants him to do. But to Dimitri's thing, hold on, let me finish. To Dimitri's case, is it undermining federal law? Absolutely, it's undermining federal law. Yeah. Whether it's moral or immoral. The fact is, if the federal law says, "Hey, this person was arrested for a crime, we're going to send you a detainer because we're going to come get him," then you should comply. If the federal law says, we don't. And it's legal, we don't want you to do X, Y, and Z, then you're not complying. It's the law. You are undermining federal law. Hold on. Calm down, Slim.
Man, let me.
So where the problem comes in when you talk about the illegal immigrants or stuff committing crimes, that if they do commit these crimes, they get snatched up, right? And that doesn't happen if the sanctuary city people, and they got a law that says you can't comply, then that is undermining federal law. Where they should not comply is officers on a local level and the state level are not authorized to do it. That's a federal job. That is their purview. That's their jurisdiction. Local officers, state officers are not immigration enforcement. Those are federal laws that's enforced by the federal government. That's why a lot of them won't comply, because that's not their business. So a lot of people who are pro or anti illegal immigration, they're mad at that and saying, well, you're law enforcement, you should be cooperating with, whatever. And law enforcement is saying, well, that's not our job. You guys handle that.
And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the local and state guys that are acting and trying to carry out federal actions in these sanctuary cities. That's what I'm talking about.
And it's not going to be fair, because the Supreme Court already ruled on it, said you can stop somebody because you think they don't belong here because they don't look European, in a matter of words. But go ahead.
Right. So what I was saying was, dude, these people are undocumented. So when the brother came and was talking about what about black on black crime type of ordeal, I'm saying, listen, these people are undocumented. So there's really no documents. When they commit a crime, they don't even have their fingerprints half the time. When Lil Jerome and Nook up the block commit a crime. Hold on. Let me play.
Let him finish.
It was a joke. I'm being sarcastic when I say that. But I'm just saying it's harder to catch an undocumented illegal immigrant than it is to catch a regular citizen that has fingerprints and blood in a database and everything else. A lot of the crimes that go on with the illegal immigrants, they go uncharted because they're undocumented immigrants. There's no background. They can have the fingerprints sometimes and still can't even catch the person.
Well, you're right on that, actually, because I'm gonna give you a personal example, right? And this happens often. Like if I was to go pull up a car over for a crime that they committed, and they're not a citizens of this country, right? And let's say I do arrest them. What's the chances of them going to court? What if they get released? What are they going to do? They're going to flee. You know why? Because I would flee if I got pulled over and arrested in Mexico, and they say, well, you need to come back to court to face your punishment. Guess what? I'm gonna be back in Jersey. Exactly. So it does happen. But when they get arrested, they are at that point, they are documented. Whether it's correct or not, but that whatever they say, whatever they give is going to be attached to them for the rest of their life in this country.
Right. My thing is this.
Right.
I get what
I'm saying is you can't even catch them some of the time. You can't even catch them because they're undocumented.
Well, but the same thing applies.
Not when they get arrested. I'm not talking about when you catch them red-handed. There you go, right there.
Oh no, everybody can get caught, but the same thing applies to citizens as well, equally. Because if you don't know that person and you never arrested the person before and you don't have their ID, the same thing applies. So, but I'm gonna go on because it's getting over an hour. My last question is: does social media portray different immigrant groups differently? And we always get them on social media because obviously social media is the scorn of today. A quick yes or no. Anybody?
I don't even got to answer that question. You already know.
All right. Now, which group? Now, I think we all can agree on that one. But which group you think gets portrayed the most negatively and most positively? Positive.
The most positive ones are usually the Asians or the Ukrainians.
Okay, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. Mm-hmm. And the negative ones, Latinos.
Definitely got to be the Asians.
For me, I would say
you said the negatives got to be Asians.
Haitians.
No,
he said Haitians. I say the most. I said the most.
Well, they talk about the Haitians way worse than they talk about the Latinos.
They do.
Yeah, I would say the most positive would be the Jews. Because you can't say nothing negative about them.
That's a fact.
Yeah, that's right.
That is a fact. That is a fact. But that
and then
you got to strong
after that it would be. It all depends on where you are. As far as the Haitian, if you don't have a large Haitian population, you're not going to get a bunch of news about the Haitians. So then that falls into their cousins. the rich black, the black people. So,
Ah, they
so
was talking about the Haitians over here eating people, chickens and
Right.
dogs and stuff.
oh
Yes.
Yeah.
They
That
were.
was that was that
You
was.
ain't never heard that about a Cuban or a Mexican.
Hey, look. Hey, hold on. Hey, Leonard, that was one idiot saying that, man. That was one idiot
Yeah.
that brought that to everybody's attention.
But
But
they
yeah,
but they
you're
but
right
they
about
all
that.
spread that same rumor because it went
Yeah.
Yeah,
they did
and voodoo and hoodoo. Although
exactly
voodoo and hoodoo started off as like a religion, like a spiritual thing for them.
right.
But
Right.
it's a whole nother tunnel. But yeah,
All right, so stay tuned for part 3 of Is U.S. Immigration Policy About Security or Racism and Xenophobia? But make sure you guys subscribe to Unfiltered with Psycho 41. Listen to the full episodes because you can have an opportunity to win prizes. Join the debate. We want to hear what you have to say. And then you can do that by visiting psycho4081.com to subscribe and then check out our blogs, vote in our audience polls because what you say or how you feel matters. So the most thought-provoking responses could be featured in future episodes, and that includes the polls in our WhatsApp group. So if you want to get into our WhatsApp groups, then contact us, email us, unfiltered.psycho4081@gmail.com.
Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Unfiltered with Psycho 4081. Big respect to our guests for keeping it real, and love to every listener rocking with us week after week. This conversation ain't over yet. Stay locked in for the next episode coming soon. Until next time, keep it unfiltered with Psycho 4081.